Army Sergeant Cassie Higgins is ready to hang up her boots as she embarks on field deployment to the Middle East. One she thought would be a simple farewell to war and danger. Petite yet fearless, her world is upended the moment she locks eyes with Bryce, an impossibly tall, muscular stranger with an allure she can't explain. When she discovers that he's a werewolf and her fated mate, Cassie's reality fractures, revealing a hidden realm of magic, power, and an ancient evil. Oh boy, our first romantasy. Let's get into it. I am the What's up, guys? Alec the author here. Welcome to episode 4 in my indie author review series, Alec Wants to Read Your Book. Every book that I read for this series has been submitted to me by indie authors you probably haven't heard of before. Some you might have, but most are probably authors you've never heard of. So I hope that you enjoy these reviews. I hope you take the time to check out some of these authors, maybe find yourself your new favorite book. Today we are reviewing a romantasy book. This genre can get wild, so I'm excited to see what we have in the store here today. The book is A New War by C.K. Ryder. Just like the other books that I review for this channel, we have some that are constant categories here. We're going to review the cover, we're going to review the writing, we're going to review the characters, we're going to review how this book fits into the genre it's trying to hit. We're going to go over the spice level. And then I have two, actually, that we add here. One is something that I do for all fantasy novels. This is the magic system. Any book that has magic in it, I'm going to review the magic system, see where it stacks up. And secondly, this one is one that is exclusive for romance novels. We're going to look at and review the relationship in this book. Every romance novel obviously has a pivotal relationship, whether that be between male character and female character, male character, female, alien versus predator. There's a relationship that drives the story forward. That's why it's a romance novel. So I want to look at that for each romance novel that we review and see how that shakes out. So we'll add all those categories together, and then we will give this book an overall score and whether or not I would recommend it. So let's start right away with the cover. This cover is sick. I actually love this so much. Like, the art style is really cool because it looks like brush strokes. Like it could be a painting. I would take this book cover as a piece of art and just hang it up on the wall. You get rid of the text and everything else, just that picture, I would hang that up on the wall. That is a beautiful piece of fantasy art. Absolutely gorgeous. It invokes kind of the senses that you should want to feel from a book like this. You have the wolf, the big blood moon behind it, the scary kind of misshapen figure in front. But the thing that sets this book cover apart too is that the text is good. Like, the font is perfect. It jumps out at you. It's the right color. There's some like fadedness in there as well that I kind of like. It pops in all of the right ways. 5 out of 5 on the book cover. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. My favorite cover by far that we've looked at in this review series. Let's look at the writing. It's a very technically sound book. Very well written. It is very easy to read. Like, there's not a whole lot of big fantasy words in there that you have to wonder how to pronounce or anything like that. The dialogue is actually very good. Like, these conversations do feel real. And again, like, we're not using big words, big fantasy jargon. Interesting thing about this book is that the entire book is written in first person. And that's first person for all the characters. We're not just talking about flipping perspectives between like the male main character and the female main character or anything like that. No. When I say all characters, I mean literally all of them. Just about. Okay, there's a bit of an exaggeration there, but we even get to see from the perspective of the dark creature that our heroes are chasing down. That is super unique. I don't see that too often, where the bad guy is given his own perspective voice. We get to see inside his head. We get to hear what he's thinking. That is so cool, and I really like that. Now, while it does sound kind of overwhelming that each character has their own first-person chapter and stuff like that, each character does have their own voice. It's easy to tell who's chapter it is, even if each chapter didn't have the name of the person at the top, which it does. But without it, like if you took that away, I could still probably tell whose perspective we're looking through just based on their kind of interior voice, if that makes sense. So that's very well done, very well written. The only critique I have for the writing is that in a lot of places it feels very rushed. Like we're just trying to get to the next thing very, very quickly. So I would have loved a bit of a slower pace to this book. Again, just like a lot of books that I've done on this review series, this is book one in a series. A lot of the first books will either feel too rushed or too overly detailed because you're setting something up, right? You're setting something up for later on. So it is not a critique of the series itself by any stretch. I'm sure that the next books are even more well done. But it does feel rushed, especially at the beginning. I mean, we hit the ground running hard. So I would have loved a slower pace. For that reason, 4 out of 5 for the writing. Let's talk characters. I had trouble with some of the characters here, especially the female main character. Cassie just accepts everything that's happening to her a little too easily, if you ask me. You're in love with this guy. Okay. You're his forever fated mate. Okay. Guess what? The world has magic in it. Okay. All of these creatures that were thought to be myth, guess what? They all exist. Cool. There's very little resistance from these characters to the changes that are happening. And when we talk changes, like, this is life-altering stuff. A lot of the reactions just don't feel very real. Makes them feel, one of my favorite words to use, shallow. And honestly, it makes them a little bit unbelievable, too. I feel like if any of this had happened to any of us, there would have been a lot more resistance to what was going on. So it makes it hard to connect with the character. Because of that, characters, 3 out of 5 for me. Let's talk about where this book fits in the genre. Very, very much so. 5 out of 5. And even overly so in some regards. What I mean by that is that this book literally has like every romantasy trope that you could ask for. There's romance, there's magic, it's in here. If you love romantasy, like, this is the book for you. It has everything. It fits the genre almost too well. Now, the part that everyone enjoys about a romantasy book, the spice level. This book is a extra hot 4 out of 5. There are a good chunk of spice scenes in the book, but what keeps it from going to that full, like, 5-alarm fire spice level is that it's not overly graphic in its description. It's plenty spicy. It is plenty spicy. But the language that's used is not, like, erotica. Now for the fantasy aspect of this book, let's talk magic system. I really feel like this book could have used a little bit more explanation on magic and where it comes from. There are several characters that give these kind of like background bits on the world. Something to do with the moon, something to do with the moon goddess, but it's not very clearly defined. You don't have to clearly define where a magic system comes from. I'm not using it as a real knock against the book by any stretch. There just doesn't feel like there's anything unique here, though. There are witches that have magic that's kind of not very well explained what they can even really do and can't do. And maybe it's left ambiguous on purpose. There are magical creatures, but there's not a whole lot of explanation, again, of like what they can and can't do. And even the bad guy, like, I was kind of picturing him as a vampire, but then they talk later on about there being actual vampires in this world, so he's not one. It's just kind of there. Magic is there. Because of that, this magic system is getting a 2 out of 5 for me. I need a little bit more depth to my magic system in order to make it, like, exemplary, but that's okay. Again, none of these are a knock by any stretch. It's just an opinion, my opinion. Let's talk about the special category for romance novels, though. The relationship. While the relationship is very explosively done and just like, boom, these people are in love now, it still doesn't feel overly unrealistic, though. It's very fast and very abrupt when it begins, but as the story kind of progresses, the way they speak to each other, me and my own wife will speak to each other this way. It felt almost relatable, even though it's a werewolf dude. So it might be weird for me to say that it's relatable because despite the hair, I am not a werewolf dude. But it's just the way that the characters talk to each other, the way the characters express their love for each other. And not even in a spicy way, just like in an everyday type conversation, the way they flirt with each other and stuff. It's kind of over the top and sappy, just like a real relationship is a lot of times. So for that, the relationship in this book is getting a 4 out of 5. It's abrupt, it happens fast, but the story backs it up, and it feels relatable. So that's all my categories there. Let's get to the overall rating for this book. A New War, CK Writer, you're getting a 4 out of 5. Oh, but Alec always gives a 4 out of 5. Well, if that's the way the cookie crumbles, then that's the way the cookie's gonna crumble. Let's face it, I am not the target audience for a romantasy novel. However, that doesn't mean that I can't see that this is actually a good romantasy book. Obviously, there are things that I don't really love about it. I really would have loved these characters to be a little bit deeper. I would have really loved the story to progress a little bit slower. It does a lot of times just feel like a frying pan to the face, like, okay, this is happening now. But again, this is the first book in a series. A lot of times the first book can either feel too rushed or too slow, depending on what is going to progress forward in the next books. I intend to read the next book in this series. I really do. Any romantasy fan is going to enjoy this book. And not just for the spice. You're actually going to like the relationship here. So CK Writers' A New War, the first book in the Moonlit trilogy. 4 out of 5. Very well done. Thank you, CK, for submitting your book to me. And thank you, the person watching this video, for making it all the way to the end here. Since you're still here, why don't you go ahead and give this video a like? Maybe drop a subscribe on the channel and turn your notification bell on there, so that way you know every time I post one of these. I have a lot of books to get through, a lot of amazing indie authors. You're not going to want to miss any of them. Speaking of other people I should thank, we should definitely thank the patrons over at patreon.com/Alec the author. These people are the grease that coats the wheels that makes this engine turn. Without them, I would have nothing. Thank you, patrons. Thank you so very much. You too can see your name on this amazing list of people if you just head over to patreon.com/Alec the author. There you can become a patron and get yourself some sick rewards for supporting this channel and all of the things that I do, including my second channel, the ones that bump back. If you like spooky, scary stories about folklore, mythos, legends, that is the place for you. Second episode on that channel drops this week. First episode is already up on Canada's very own Loch Ness Monster, the Ogopogo. Thank you again, CK Writer, for submitting your book to me. I really did appreciate it. I really did have fun. This was a good way to kick off the romantasy side of things with these indie books. You done good. I wish you all the success in the world. Thank you again, guys. Remember, be excellent to each other. See you in the next one. I want to read your book.